Right now, in 2026, we are consuming more information in a single day than someone in the 1800s did in their entire lifetime.
Oh, easily.
And yet, why do you feel completely paralyzed when it's time to actually get your own work done?
Yeah.
Because your brain isn't just tired, it is literally glitching. You're trying to run modern spatial AI software on a processor that hasn't had an update in 50,000 years.
Which is, a massive biological trap.
Exactly. So if you're obsessed with the why behind human success, you are in the right place. Hit subscribe and turn on that bell to join the Insight Lab. We drop deep dives like this every week to help you outsmart the average. Now let's get into the data.
Let's do it.
Because most people think hard work or, better discipline is the answer. It's not. Today we're breaking down this evolutionary mismatch and why your brain might actually be your own worst enemy.
Yeah, it's such a vital setup because if you're constantly feeling that brain fog or just pulled in 1,000 directions, you probably internalize it. You think it's a personal failing.
Right, like you're just lazy.
Exactly. You tell yourself you just lack willpower. But the source material for today points to something much deeper. It's a profound structural hardware glitch.
Okay, so let's get into phase one of this, the actual biology of the failure. Because I hear this evolutionary mismatch thing a lot, but I have to push back a little. I mean, humans adapt, right? That's our whole thing.
We do adapt, yes.
So we aren't running from saber-toothed tigers anymore. Why hasn't the brain figured out that, like, an AR notification ping isn't a predator?
It comes down to velocity, the sheer velocity of technological change versus the glacial pace of biological evolution.
It's just too fast.
Way too fast. Biological adaptations take thousands of generations. We're talking tens of thousands of years to change the deep brain structures. But smartphones, that was just a couple decades ago. Spatial computing and these predictive AI feeds, that's just the last few years.
So the deep parts of your brain they literally don't know what century it is.
They don't perceive time or tech. They only perceive stimuli.
There's an analogy in the research that totally nailed this for me. It's like trying to run Cyberpunk 2077 on a beige desktop computer from 1995.
Oh, that's a perfect way to look at it.
Right. Like the fan is screaming, the motherboard is melting, and the machine is just begging for mercy.
Because your brain evolved for extreme physical scarcity. Information was sparse. If a bush rustled, it meant instant life or death attention was needed. Now you're forcing that 1995 processor to render an infinite digital universe all day long.
Which brings us to the conflict here, phase two. How is the hardware actually failing under these conditions? The research points straight to the amygdala, right? The alarm system.
Yeah, the amygdala. It's basically your threat detection center. Yeah. When our ancestors saw a threat, the amygdala activated the HPA axis to flood the body with adrenaline and cortisol.
The classic fight-or-flight response.
Exactly. Heart rate spikes, vision narrows, you're primed to survive. But the amygdala is pretty primitive. It's just pattern matching.
So it can't tell the difference between a real tiger and, like, a breaking news alert.
Biologically, no. A mildly aggressive work email or a ping from your AI assistant triggers the exact same biological urgency as a predator in the dark.
Wait, really? Every single ping?
Every single one. You are chronically activating that stress axis, pumping out cortisol for no physical reason. The tiger never actually jumps out, but your nervous system is permanently braced for an attack.
Wow. And that just fries the system?
It corrodes it. It disrupts your sleep, ruins your immune system, and leaves you physically exhausted.
And it's not just the stress, it's the volume of data. Like I mentioned earlier, we consume a lifetime's worth of 1800s information in 16 hours now. How does a brain even process that?
Well, it tries to use the prefrontal cortex, your executive center. It handles logic, planning, impulse control.
But it needs fuel, right? Glucose.
Huge amounts of it. It's the most metabolically expensive part of your brain. So when you force it to make a billion micro decisions like, is this news real? Should I swipe this? How do I reply? You burn through your fuel.
Which perfectly explains why I can mindlessly scroll these, like, billionaire mindset videos for 3 hours, but the second I try to write a script, I'm paralyzed.
Exactly. Passive scrolling doesn't use the prefrontal cortex. It just washes over your visual cortex. But actual generative work requires that executive center. And by 10 a.m., you've already drained the battery just managing notifications.
Okay, that makes sense. But here's the real aha moment for me moving into phase 3. If we're so drained, why do we keep doing it? The sources say this exhaustion isn't an accident. It's the 2026 dopamine economy.
Oh, it is actively weaponized against you. We have to talk about dopamine. It's not just a pleasure chemical. It drives motivation. It tells the brain, this is a novel reward, do it again.
Right, which used to mean finding berries. But now, algorithms are essentially neuroscientists.
Hyper-advanced neuroscientists. They serve you generative, real-time content engineered to hit your specific dopamine receptors.
And every time you get a hit, your brain records a win. Spike.
Yes, but historically, a dopamine spike was followed by a long recovery period. Now, it's just swipe, spike, ping spike, every few seconds.
So the brain just gets flooded.
And it defends itself through downregulation. It literally retracts the dopamine receptors. It says, whoa, too much dopamine, pull back the catcher's mitts. So you build a massive physical tolerance.
Like blowing out the speakers on your headphones by playing the bass too loud.
That's it, exactly. And the clinical result is anhedonia. You literally lose the hardware to feel pleasure from normal things. A walk in the park or a normal conversation feels completely boring or even agitating.
Yeah, the sources call it double stimulation. Like when you sit down to watch a 2-hour movie, and 10 minutes in, you literally have to pull out your phone to scroll at the same time.
Because one screen isn't enough to hit your damage threshold anymore. That's neuroplasticity working against you.
Wait, I thought neuroplasticity was a good thing.
It's value neutral. It just means the brain wires itself to be efficient at whatever you feed it. If you feed it constant, fragmented, high-intensity data...
It gets really good at being distracted.
Exactly. You are physically optimizing your brain for distraction.
Okay, that is terrifying. So we're running 1995 hardware, our amygdala is screaming, our prefrontal cortex is empty, and we're literally rewiring ourselves to hate focus. How do we fix this? Give me the actionable insight here.
You have to shift to active brain management. You cannot be passive anymore. We've distilled this down to the Insight Lab protocol, a 3-step mental check you can start using tomorrow to protect your biology.
Okay, what's step 1?
Low dopamine mornings. No screens for the first 60 minutes after you wake up.
60 whole minutes. Why is the morning so crucial?
Because your brain is transitioning from deep sleep waves into highly suggestible waking states. Your dopamine baseline is resetting. If you grab your phone immediately, you blast that delicate state with an artificial spike.
So you're basically eating cake for breakfast, but for your brain.
Exactly. You hardwire the baseline high for the rest of the day. A 60-minute analog buffer lets your neurochemistry stabilize.
Okay, I can do that. Step 2.
The 20-minute focus block. This means a complete rejection of multitasking. Multitasking is a myth. You are actually just rapid context switching, and it burns massive amounts of glucose.
Right. The research called it attention residue.
Yeah.
Like when I switch from an email to a spreadsheet, part of my brain is still thinking about the email.
And it destroys your deep work capacity. So the protocol is 20 minutes of absolute singular focus followed by 5 minutes of analog rest.
And analog rest doesn't mean checking social media.
No, it means staring at a wall or stretching, letting the processor cool down.
Okay, got it. And the final step, step 3, which honestly blew my mind, visual fasting.
Yes. In our AR-heavy world, your optic nerve, which is literally brain tissue, is exhausted. Constantly processing pixelated, artificially lit screens right in front of your face causes accommodative spasm in your eye muscles.
It's actual physical strain.
Huge strain. So you need at least 10 minutes a day of visual fasting, looking at something completely non-pixelated, a real physical horizon, or the geometry of a tree.
It sounds so simple, but treating your attention like a finite battery is just, it's everything.
If you don't manage your brain, the algorithms will gladly do it for you.
Absolutely. So if you just realize that your high IQ or your work ethic is actually a trap without this protocol, you're really only halfway there.
That's right. There's a whole other layer.
Because the way you sleep actually determines if you can use this Insight Lab protocol at all. Watch our breakdown on the billionaire sleep myth right here on the channel to complete the puzzle. Take care of your brains, and we'll see you in the next deep dive.